Hello, thank you all for joining us today for the first in a series of informational sessions that the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance is going to be holding about opportunities for investment in the Pittsburgh region. Today, we'll be talking about the life sciences and healthcare sector. My name is Kyle Chintalopoli. I am the Vice President for Business and Economic Development at the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance. And later, we will be joined by my colleague, Camille Johnlin, who's also on our business investment team. If you have any questions as we're going through the presentation today, we ask that you use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. We will get to as many of those as we can. For those that we can't or are unable to answer today, we are recording the session and we'll make sure to follow up with each of you individually for any of the material that may be helpful for you. So with that, we'll move on and start getting things started. We really view Pittsburgh as an iconic city that's positioned itself at the forefront of what's next. And that's because there's top companies, startups, universities, and many more organizations that are working to confront the world's biggest challenges head on and building a next generation economy right here in the Pittsburgh region. We're open to innovative companies and entrepreneurs who are excited about growth and want to partner with us on building something remarkable here. Today, we're going to cover and give you a brief overview of the Pittsburgh region, speak briefly about the economic vision that we see in our future. Really, as you know, we said, focus in on the life sciences and healthcare ecosystem, the real estate assets that we have in and around the region to help support that growth, speak to the quality of the place, and then, of course, make sure that you have our contact information so that you can get in touch with us before we move into fielding any questions that you may have. So for those of you unfamiliar, this is where you can find the Pittsburgh region. When we talk about Pittsburgh and the region, it is 10 counties for the greater Pittsburgh area. It's a population total of 2.6 million people with a workforce of 1.3 million. Our gross domestic products at $139 billion. And right now there's a lot of development happening, in particular in and around our two business centers in downtown Pittsburgh and our Oakland neighborhood, which we'll focus on a little bit later, totaling about $12 billion. Our millennium population is growing, so you have the ability to tap into a young, talented, educated workforce. And all this comes at a very accessible cost of living and an affordable price with our median home sales price of $155,000. The region itself sits within 500 miles of over 40% of the population for the United States and Canada. And that places you within the same distance, 500 miles, of 45% of the buying power in the United States. So we're positioned as a great East Coast hub. We really do believe there's something happening in Pittsburgh. Our region is recently been named the #1 emerging life sciences hub in all of North America. We're a leading innovation hub and emerging global startup ecosystem. And these things all really package together as a top city for STEM professionals from numerous rankings that we will cite and provide information for you on later. We've also been noted as a growth market for the creative class. There are a number of thriving industries in Pittsburgh. They're being fueled by deep tech, research-driven, and really we feel have been able to capitalize here on where we have comparative advantages. And that lies across numerous sectors from manufacturing to tech, AV and robotics, long histories in energy and production. Logistics and transportation is a fast-growing sector here that you'll hear about more in a subsequent session next week. And today where we'll focus our time on life sciences. And with that, I'd like to welcome my colleague, Camille Johnlin, to walk you through the strength of the ecosystem in the sector here. Camille?
Thank you, Kyle. So I will go ahead and dive right in as there's a lot to cover. And again, if I do miss something, please do use the Q&A feature at the bottom and we'll get to your questions at the end. So as Kyle said, Pittsburgh is the #1 emerging life sciences ecosystem in the US, as named by CBRE just last year. And this is due to the real technological excellence and leading healthcare innovation in Pittsburgh comes from a foundation of life sciences and AI R&D at the top tier universities, as well as commercialization through two major hospital systems. So these all together make the Pittsburgh region poised for investment. Next slide. The Pittsburgh region life sciences ecosystem is receiving national recognition. If you have not heard, there's a lot of news coming out in industry trade journals and the site selection community and more that is highlighting the startups spinning out of universities, the corporations here, the alliances between research institutions, and recently the COVID-19 treatment and vaccine developments that are especially run by the University of Pittsburgh. Next slide. So I'll start by going into the industry presence of life sciences and healthcare in Pittsburgh. There are over 150 regional life sciences companies across the 10 counties. And these include large companies like Philips, Respironics, and Bayer, and a lot of smaller companies as well, ranging from biotech to diagnostics to medical devices and more. And between 2008 and 2018, there were 237 company expansions. So this impacted over 22,000 jobs and totaling $4 billion in capital investment here. Go back, Kyle. And just to give you a sense of the employee base within that, there are over 6,000 employees in just the global companies alone, including Viatris, which is formerly known as Mylan, that merged with Pfizer's Upjohn, Thermo Fisher, Philips, and more. And we are fortunate in the Pittsburgh region to have Life Sciences Pennsylvania, which is a statewide trade association that advocates for business and policy climate to retain and attract the life sciences here. There are over 800 members of this statewide association that is active in our southwestern corner of Pennsylvania. Next, I'll go into some of the recent investments in Pittsburgh life sciences companies. I'll just highlight 3 today, and of course, there are many more. First, Crystal Biotech has quite a story here. So Crystal Biotech is a gene therapy company that focuses on developing treatments for rare skin diseases caused by a single cell mutation. They were founded by Krish Krishnan and his wife Suma Krishnan in 2016, and through 2 funding rounds, raised $18 million, and amazingly completed an IPO within 18 months of founding. And Crystal Biotech is headquartered on the south side of Pittsburgh, which is directly accessible to downtown, to Oakland, where the major universities are located. And January 2020, Crystal Biotech broke ground on a $90 million, 100,000 square foot manufacturing center near the Pittsburgh airport, which really shows the strength of the Pittsburgh market today with such a significant investment. And that is the largest biotech investment in the region to date. Go ahead. Second, Philips Respironics. Respironics has been in the Pittsburgh area for quite a long time. They were founded in 1976 as a medical device company that introduced the first CPAP machine, actually, for sleep apnea, and is still well known for that. And in 2007, Philips acquired Respironics, and now Pittsburgh is the headquarters of Philips Sleep and Respiratory Care, which employs over 1,700 people today. In 2018, Philips Respironics broke ground on a new 200,000 square foot headquarter location that you see pictured here, which is in Pittsburgh's Bakery Square. And if you're not familiar with the area, Bakery Square is a significant tech hub here. Philips Respironics will be sharing that development with, or in that neighborhood with Google's Pittsburgh headquarters, as well as Carnegie Mellon University, University of Pittsburgh, and located next to a whole lot of other tech companies. Go ahead. Third, I'll mention Holomics. So Holomics has been also in Pittsburgh for a long time. They are a division of predictive oncology. And Holomics works to use an AI and data-driven approach to improve outcomes for current and potential cancer patients. And Holomics has partnered with the University of Pittsburgh on research projects, and recently partnered with UPMC Magee Women's Hospital to analyze genomic and drug responses of women with ovarian cancer. And we would like to highlight Holomics today just because they show how strong the intersection is between life sciences and healthcare research with the AI and data strengths that are also quite significant in the Pittsburgh region, as well as the partnerships that occur between academic institutions and private companies. So as Pittsburgh is quite an R&D powerhouse, I'll show you some examples of how that appears across the region. First, I'll talk about our academic anchors. Pittsburgh, amazingly, is home to 88 regional universities and post-secondary institutions across all 10 counties. The life sciences anchors of these are namely Carnegie Mellon University, Carlow University, Duquesne University, and the University of Pittsburgh, which we refer to as Pitt. And across these 88 regional universities, in total, there are over 45,000 graduates and degree completions every year. And over 14,000 of these degree completions are in healthcare and life sciences, which is quite a significant portion of that total graduate pool per year. 1,243 of these in 2019 of these completions were biomedical and biological science degrees. So as you can see pictured here, the Duquesne University nursing students, we'd like to mention the excitement around the Duquesne University's new College of Osteopathic Medicine, which is set to open in 2023. And finally, I've touched on this, but there is quite a culture of collaboration that shows itself strongly between these regional universities and institutions. So you'll see programs like the Pittsburgh Health Data Alliance and the Pittsburgh Supercomputing Center, which I'll mention later, that demonstrate this collaboration. I would be remiss not to go more in depth on the University of Pittsburgh, as they are really the institutional anchor of life sciences R&D in Pittsburgh. So the University of Pittsburgh is number 6 nationally in NIH funding. In 2019, this came from $546 million in NIH grants and over 1,000 awards. Pitt is also number 9 nationally in life sciences R&D expenditures. And Pitt has had quite a history in life sciences. We can date back to the 1950s when Jonas Salk famously invented the polio vaccine out of the University of Pittsburgh. And speeding up to today, Pitt is globally recognized in its research specializations in immunization, transplantation, and neuroscience in particular. So Pitt has numerous programs and offerings for life sciences research. Just to name a few, the Innovation Institute is really an important part of Pitt that provides funding and commercialization support for Pitt faculty, staff, and student innovators. And I'll also mention the Human Engineering Research Laboratories, HURL, which partners with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. And this is led by Dr. Rory Cooper, who is a veteran himself and is well known in the bioengineering field nationally. And HURL works to perform advanced engineering in clinical research and medical rehabilitation, combining strengths in healthcare innovation and the robotics industry. Just to drive home this point a little further with the strength of R&D in Pittsburgh, last year there were $863 million in life sciences R&D expenditures from Pitt and $141 million computer sciences R&D expenditures from CMU. So respectively, that's number 9 in the US and number 3 in the US. The competitive advantage that this brings to Pittsburgh is quite significant, and just a few examples here are, I'll recent announcements. So last year was a big year for 3D mapping, and I'll specifically call out the NIH Human Biomolecular Atlas program that has been present in the Pittsburgh Supercomputing Center, which is jointly led by Pitt and CMU, and they are creating a 3D map of the human body down to single cell level. I'll also mention the CREATES lab at Pitt, which is drawing together the expertise of the scientists in Pittsburgh in robotics and surgical technique to advance surgical devices and systems. And finally, a significant collaboration between the University of Pittsburgh and Astellas Pharma, which is a global pharmaceutical company. They announced a partnership in fall of last year to apply a gene therapy approach to research on regenerative eye treatment. To put a few numbers behind this, between 2013 and 2018, there were over 1,000 regional healthcare and life sciences patents awarded to the regional research institutions. And between 2010 and 2019, over $6.6 billion were invested in over 600 unique startups, as well as $10 billion invested in academic research. And finally, over 400 innovation ecosystem organizations, leaders, and support groups are present in Pittsburgh, which leads me to the next slide about entrepreneurial support. So listed here are several startup support organizations. These ones are specifically for the life sciences sector. And if you see some of our other investment informationals, you'll hear more about startup support in other sectors. But the Pittsburgh region does host quite a growing entrepreneurial hub. So I'll mention Innovation Works first, as they are the largest seed stage investor in southwestern Pennsylvania, and actually one of the most active seed stage investors in the US. Just last year, also in September 2020, you'll hear a recurring theme of investments made just last year, actually. Innovation Works partnered with Allegheny Health Network, one of the major hospital systems in the region, to form Alpha Lab Health, which is a life sciences accelerator and incubator that is supporting startups of all types within the life sciences industry. I'll also mention LifeX Labs, because they are quite a hub for life sciences and healthcare technology startup support right now. So LifeX Labs was formed in 2017 as part of a collaboration between the University of Pittsburgh and one of the philanthropies in the Pittsburgh region. And LifeX Labs today is a large life sciences accelerator and incubator with recently expanded wet lab facilities. And they provide support, resources, and ecosystem connections to local life sciences entrepreneurs, as well as an executive in residence program. And the CEO of LifeX Labs, Gerald Bardzell, was actually a previous CEO of Hellomix that I mentioned previously. Last December of 2020, the LifeX Labs announced a partnership with the Pittsburgh Life Sciences Greenhouse, which is an investment firm that supports life sciences entrepreneurs, founded in 2002. So the Greenhouse has been around for a long time. And this newly announced partnership with LifeX Labs just shows increasing support and pooling of resources so that the life sciences startups here get as much support as they can. And finally, Innovate PGH is a next generation public-private partnership that is built to accelerate Pittsburgh's status as a global innovation city. Great, so the last component that I'll talk about of the life sciences ecosystem here in Pittsburgh is the healthcare excellence. So there are two major hospital systems that are headquartered in Pittsburgh, and they're actually the region's largest employers as well. So there is not only a large talent pipeline coming out of the universities, but a large and highly skilled talent base already within these healthcare institutions. First, Allegheny Health Network, AHN, with Insure Highmark Health, has a presence across the 10-county region. They have recently made over $1 billion investment in hospital expansions, which includes a flagship cancer institute on the north side of Pittsburgh near downtown. Second is the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, called UPMC. They, of course, have a lot of collaboration with the University of Pittsburgh and researchers and faculty with dual positions. And some accolades of the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center are that Children's Hospital, UPMC Children's Hospital, is in the top 10 best children's hospitals in the nation, as well as UPMC Presbyterian, which you see pictured here, is in the top 15 of the nation's best hospitals overall. UPMC Enterprises, which is the commercialization arm of UPMC, has made a $1 billion investment between 2020 and 2024 to commercialize new drugs, diagnostics, and devices. Quite a large investment there, and as well as a $2 billion investment from UPMC overall in 3 new specialty hospitals, vision rehabilitation, heart transplantation, and cancer treatment. So with that, I will turn it back over to Kyle, who will go more into real estate, quality of place, and more.
Thanks, Camille. As Camille spoke about the strength of the ecosystem here, what companies will find when in locating in Pittsburgh, and why our life sciences ecosystem, really was named the top emerging hub in the United States. For companies that are looking to locate here, we did want to take some time today to discuss the real estate assets that we have across the 10 counties to really support that growth. So region-wide right now, you can see there's well over 22 million square feet of available office, industrial, and flex space. Today, we're going to really focus in and around those obviously related to life sciences, but in those emerging sort of hubs and clusters that are in and around the university districts that Camille spoke to just now. As you'll see on this slide, there are a number of existing life science and healthcare assets. Those are the ones denoted in blue. And then some developments that are underway and coming online soon that are denoted in the gold. And we'll see some of them in a little more detail on the 2 subsequent slides, specifically within the Oakland Innovation District and then the Hazelwood Green Corridor. As you can see from this slide, there is some natural clustering that is happening amongst the real estate assets that are there in the Oakland area, somewhat in the south side. The Alpha Lab Health project that Camille mentioned is in the top left corner of the slide, and then significant existing available lab space too outside of the city in the U Park development off the slide. The city and the county are also making significant infrastructure investments that you see denoted with the red lines, those dashed with the forthcoming bus rapid transit that really help to connect these locations in order to facilitate their growth. There is also some natural clustering that's happening amongst life sciences companies in the south side. And when we think about Oakland and we think about the south side and then where a natural outlet and opportunity for the growth of the sector lies, we really view that as the Hazelwood Green site, which you see denoted there in purple. So first, we'll zero in on the Oakland Innovation District. As you can see here, Carnegie Mellon University's campus and the campus of the University of Pittsburgh are really sort of the anchors that exist within that, along with Carlow University, all in a very tight area that has been known, is known as our innovation district, which our partners in Innovate PGH really work to advance. Those projects denoted in gold, as I said before, are those that are coming, in under development. So as Camille mentioned, UPMC has significant investment of $2 billion in 3 new hospitals. 2 of them are shown on the screen with the UPMC Heart and Transplant Hospital next to UPMC Presbyterian and Biomedical Science Tower 3, and then the UPMC Hillman Cancer Hospital, which is in the top right of the screen. Two developments that are underway are at the Pittsburgh Athletic Association and the Innovation Research Tower. Both of these are by Walnut Capital, which is a local development firm. The Pittsburgh Athletic Association is a historic renovation of over 100,000 square feet of office, which will be online soon. And then the Innovation Research Tower has broken ground and will represent over 300,000 square feet of new office and lab space available. Wexford Science and Technology is that has done life science investments all over the country, from Baltimore to Boston to St. Louis, has entered the market. The first project they're pursuing is at 5051 Center Avenue, which they're projecting will be done later this year. That involves a portion that is a historic rehab of an old Ford plant, and then next door they're doing some new construction, which will have additional lab space and office space for potential companies to locate. And then 3440 Forbes will be a new life sciences tower development that they're pursuing. And then off the page, which we'll see the site a little more clearly on the next slide, is the Riviera, which is a building that Burns and Scalo developed initially as office space, and as demand in the market really dictated to them, they've begun converting the top 2 floors over as lab space, with tenants already taking tenancy, and then are pursuing potentially converting the remainder of the building to full lab space, just to be responsive to what is in demand in the market right now. On this slide, as I mentioned, we're going to focus on talking about the Hazelwood Green site. As you can see, Oakland is nearby. All the developments and companies that are located in the south side aren't too far away, with UPMC Mercy in the distance. The Hazelwood Green site represents over 180 acres of former brownfield. It is going to be a world-leading, world-class development. The ownership group is a collaboration amongst 3 of our local foundations. There are 2 developments underway on the site already, with the Mill 19 building, which is a really innovative renovation of the former steel mill, as the name would suggest, where we have a lot of activity from both autonomous vehicle companies. The Advanced Robotics Manufacturing Institute is there, and more companies sort of in that innovation space, serving as the anchor building for it. And then the Roundhouse building, which is another of the existing buildings on site, will be another place where GSV Labs recently announced they're going to make a move into Pittsburgh, sort of speaking to that strength of our innovation ecosystem. Again, this really represents a growth opportunity from both the Oakland, the South Side markets, and the Pittsburgh Technology Center, all of which are incredibly nearby the Hazelwood Green site. And then the Hazelwood community itself is poised for investment, and through the leadership of the Hazelwood Initiative, the Heinz Endowments, and other community partners, have really been investing both in the business district as well as opportunities for existing residents through housing that's going there, including the Gladstone residences, which will be a new historic renovation of a former school building. So in addition to having the strength of the ecosystem, the real estate assets to support that, what we really feel becomes a competitive advantage for us is that talent will find a place where they're really able to enjoy their work and love their life outside of that. And really, this is more than just a tagline. Whether you're a member of the team, has lived here for 30 years, or is new to the region, we really feel that Pittsburgh has something for everyone. And to that point of it being more than a tagline, I think these rankings that you see here really speak to the recognition that the region has received from publications across the world, whether that's being a top city for STEM professionals and millennial homeowners, a best city for jobs, best place to start a business, or just a cool place to live. What your town will find here, and to that point of there being something for everyone, the opportunities for recreation are really abundant. Whether that's someone who enjoys going on bike rides, hiking through the mountains in our outlying counties, world-class architecture, everything is incredibly close and nearby. There's also been recently a booming culinary scene and nightlife powered by entrepreneurs and folks in the creative class that have established a food scene here that is cutting edge, recognized across the globe, but still able to remain unique to this place, Pittsburgh, and the history that's present here. Our arts and culture scene is one that we feel is really unrivaled for a city, certainly of our size. And when you look at the direct spend on the arts nationally, really does contend with any world center. We're thankful through that for the investment that happens from local foundations as well as other organizations. And you can see there's over 1,500 performances annually just in our cultural district, and 32 world-class museums and 30 concert venues all across the 10-county region. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the winning sports culture here that Pittsburgh is certainly renowned for, from the Penguins, the Steelers, the Pirates. There is a professional soccer team here in the Riverhounds, and major NCAA Division I athletics with the University of Pittsburgh, the basketball team at Duquesne, as well as at Robert Morris University. And in addition to just being able to watch sports, there's great opportunities for talent to be able to participate in them themselves through the Pittsburgh Sports League, which provides 20,000 adults the chance to play 15 sports year-round. With that, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. Our contact information is here. We would love to hear from you, talk about opportunities that exist within this space. As we said before, if there's any questions, please do use the Q&A feature. We are going, as we said at the outset, this is the first in a series of webinars that we'll be holding on different sectors and opportunities for investment in Pittsburgh. To that end, we can provide information in the chat so that you have where you can find those, but I would encourage you to look both at the pittsburghregion.org site, as well as our LinkedIn page, and of course through Eventbrite, where you can find information on how to join the future webinars. I'll welcome Camille back in and stop the screen share as questions start coming in, and then we'll go ahead and begin to field these. So our first question, can you share any more about what will be happening with the Innovation Works AHN collaboration at the old Bellevue Hospital? Camille, I think, well, first, thank you for citing the Bellevue Hospital. We forgot to mention that the project is actually a renovation and repurposing of AHN's old suburban hospital in Bellevue, just outside the city. I believe they've begun to take applications for, or they have the first cohort in place. Is that correct?
Yes, the first cohort is in place, and I'm not sure if applications are open for the second cohort yet, but it should be starting already, seeing as it's the end of January. Yeah, up and running.
Yeah. So it'll be up and running soon. And our partners in Innovation Works, have already launched 2 successful accelerators with Alpha Lab and Alpha Lab Gear. So I think we're all incredibly excited to see what Alpha Lab Health is able to bring. Okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Camille, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add to folks. As we said, please make sure to join the other webinars that are coming and share them widely and broadly, with your own networks, both inside and outside the region. Again, we thank you for your time this afternoon and look forward to joining you in the future.
And if you would like to connect with me further, I'm putting my LinkedIn in the chat, but you can feel free to email us as well.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.